November 13th, 2023, Miami International Airport. A 73-year-old grandmother stands at the gate, ready to board. In her hand, a one-way ticket to Vietnam. Her destination? A country with no extradition treaty to the United States. But she will never board that plane. FBI agents arrest Donna Adelson right away. The charge? First-degree murder. But this murder didn't happen yesterday. It happened 9 years ago. And the victim? Her daughter's ex-husband. This is the story of a family, a divorce, and a crime that shocked an entire city. Donna Sue Adelson seemed to have it all. A wealthy family in South Florida, a successful dental practice, 3 grown children. Her husband, Harvey, was a respected dentist. Her son, Charlie, worked as a periodontist in the family practice. And her daughter, Wendi, a brilliant attorney and law professor. In 2006, Wendi married law professor Dan Markel. The wedding took place in Florida, officiated by a rabbi. It seemed like the perfect match. But the marriage didn't last. In 2012, Wendi filed for divorce. She wanted to move back to Miami, closer to her family. But Dan, who was a law professor in Tallahassee, fought back. The court sided with him. Their shared sons would not relocate. For Donna Adelson, this was unbearable. Her grandsons, 500 miles away. Her daughter, trapped in a city she hated. In emails to Wendi, Donna called her ex-son-in-law Major Fucker and Royal Jackass. She offered Dan $1 million to agree to relocation. He refused. And then, in July 2014, everything changed. July 18th, 2014, a Friday morning in Tallahassee, Florida. Dan Markel drops his 2 sons off at preschool, then heads to the gym. It's a normal routine. But this morning, he's being followed. A silver Toyota Prius tails him to Premier Fitness Gym. Surveillance cameras show the vehicle circling the parking lot while Dan works out. When Dan leaves the gym at 10:38 a.m., the Prius follows. Dashboard cameras from city buses document the chase through Tallahassee. At 11 a.m., Dan pulls into his driveway. He's still in his car on the phone when someone approaches. A neighbor hears a loud bang. Then he sees the Prius backing out of the driveway. Dan Markel was shot twice in the head. He died the next day at the hospital. Police find no signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. This was no robbery. This was a targeted hit. But who would want a law professor dead? And why? Tallahassee police releases surveillance images of the Prius. A tip leads to a rental car contract. The name on the contract? Luis Rivera, a convicted gang leader of the Latin Kings of Miami. A second name on the contract? Sigfredo Garcia, Rivera's lifelong friend. The 2 men had rented the Prius on July 15th. GPS data shows their route, from Miami to Tallahassee, from the gym to Dan's house, and back to Miami that same night. But why would 2 gang members from Miami kill a professor in Tallahassee? The answer came in 2016. Luis Rivera, already in prison for other crimes, made a deal. He confessed he and Garcia were hired for the job.
Were you hired to participate in the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Who hired you to be involved in the murder?
Well, I got it from my friend, Dudo Garcia.
Is that Sigfredo Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you know him?
Childhood friends.
The contract came through a woman named Catherine Magbanua. And Magbanua? She was the ex-girlfriend of Charlie Adelson. Wendy's brother. The FBI began surveying the Adelson family. What they found would expose the entire conspiracy. April 19th, 2016, 2 years after the murder. Donna Adelson leaves her luxury condo in Miami Beach. A man approaches her. He claims to be a gang member and hands her a piece of paper with a phone number. He says, "You need to pay $5,000 for Tuto, Luis Rivera's nickname." Donna looks shocked. She takes the paper and walks away. What Donna doesn't know, the man is an undercover FBI agent. The entire encounter has been recorded.
Excuse me, Mrs. Adelson? How you doing? Just want to give you this. Listen.
You're scared.
No, don't be scared. Listen, just want to let you know that we know that your family has been taking care of Katie and her friend Tuto for quite some time after your problem up north has been resolved. And I want to let you know that my brother, he's incarcerated. He helped your family with this problem you guys had up north. And we want to make sure that he's going through some rough times. And we want to make sure that you take care of what he's going through the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuto. Well, this will explain it. Thank you.
Minutes later, Donna calls her son Charlie. Phone calls were wiretapped. Charlie responds carefully, tells her they shouldn't talk inside the house.
How long was the letter?
No, it's just a copy of all the things what was written in the letter. That was written in a copy of that letter.
Is the person threatening you?
I don't think we should.
Actually, I mean, it's kind of sensitive. I was kind of thinking if there's a threat, you go to the police.
Yeah.
But anyway, let me.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, let me. Well, I don't think it's. People threaten you, gotta go to the police. But let me talk. Let me see what it is. Let me see what nonsense it is first. It won't be the first time I've been threatened.
The next day, Charlie meets Catherine Magbanua at a restaurant called Dolce Vita. The FBI has cameras and microphones installed. Charlie says if they had any evidence, we'd already be at the airport. These recordings, unintelligible for years due to background noise, are enhanced now with new technology in 2022. They become the basis for Charlie's arrest. (2019) Sigfredo Garcia is convicted of murder, life without parole.
Count one, the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count two, the defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count three, the defendant is not guilty. So say we all this 11th day of October 2019. Second, it come forward with your client, please. As the jury, having found you guilty of murder in the first degree and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, I do adjudicate you guilty of each offense. On count one, I sentence you to life in prison. Give you credit on that sentence of 1,238 days, which dates back to May 25th, 2016, which I understand to be the date of arrest. On count two, I sentence you to 30 years Department of Corrections to run consecutively to count one. There's no jail credit as to count two since it is a consecutive sentence. As to count three, based upon the jury verdict of not guilty, I adjudicate you not guilty of that offense.
Catherine Magbanua is tried twice. The first time, the jury deadlocks. The second time, in 2022, she's found guilty. Life plus 60 years.
I will now read the verdict. In the case of the state of Florida versus Catherine D. Magbanua, case number 2016 CF3036 and 2018 CF497. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1. A, the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2. A, the defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3. A, the defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson. In the state of Florida versus Catherine Magbanua, 2016 CF3036 and 2018 CF497. Ms. Magbanua is present here in the courtroom along with her counsel. On count 1, which is the count of first-degree murder, you have been found guilty by a jury. You will be adjudicated guilty, and you will be sentenced to life in prison with no eligibility for probation or parole. On count 2, which is the conspiracy to commit murder, you have been found guilty by a jury. You will be adjudicated guilty, and you will be sentenced to a consecutive sentence of 30 years in the Department of Corrections. On count 3, the solicitation to commit murder, you have been found guilty by a jury of that count. You are adjudicated guilty, and you will be sentenced to a consecutive sentence of 30 years in the Department of Corrections.
But the Adelson family? Untouched for years. Until April 2022. Charlie Adelson gets arrested. In November 2023, he's convicted. First-degree murder, conspiracy and solicitation. His sentence? Life without parole.
Clerk, please publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 2nd Judicial Circuit in and for Leon County, Florida, the state of Florida versus Charles Adelson, case number 2016 CF3036B, verdict. Count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. So say we all this 6th day of November, 2023.
Mr. Adelson, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make a statement if you wish. You do not have to speak. However, this is your opportunity if you choose to do so.
I do.
You may stand.
Stand. I would just like to say that I maintain my innocence.
Well, please rise. I'm now going to pronounce the sentence. With the jury having found you guilty of all 3 counts that you were charged with in your indictment of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder, I am going to adjudicate you guilty of all 3 at this time, and you are going to be sentenced as follows. As to count 1, the first-degree murder count pursuant to section 782.04 and 775.082 Florida statutes, you are sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release or parole. As to count 2, you are going to be sentenced consecutively to 30 years in the Department of Corrections for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. As to count 3, you are going to be sentenced to 30 years in the Department of Corrections consecutively for solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
1 week later, Donna and Harvey Adelson book plane tickets, a one-way flight to Vietnam via Dubai. They plan to fly on November 13th, but the FBI reacts first. On the morning of November 13th, while Donna waits at the gate, agents arrest her. The charges: first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. The matriarch of the Adelson family, is led away in handcuffs. August 2025. 11 years after Dan's death, Donna Adelson's trial begins in Tallahassee. The prosecution presents overwhelming evidence. Catherine Magbanua testifies that she was the middleman between the hitman and Charlie Adelson. The money, she says, came from Donna.
Donna had conversations with Charlie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie had conversations with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie was the go-between between you and Donna, wasn't he?
Yes, ma'am.
The same way you were the go-between between Charlie and Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
Payroll checks from the family practice show that Donna personally signed checks to Magbanua. Checks for work that Magbanua never performed. Cell phone data shows hundreds of calls between Donna, Charlie and Magbanua in the days before and after the murder. The wiretap phone calls after the bump show that Donna knew exactly what was going on. And then there are the jailhouse informants. Two of Donna's cellmates testify that Donna offered them money and drugs to make false statements in court. One informant shows police a handwritten script that Donna had given her, with questions and answers she was supposed to memorize and recite at trial. The defense argues no direct evidence. Donna never spoke to the hitman, she knew nothing. But the jury sees it differently. After only 3 hours of deliberation, guilty, all counts. Donna Adelson breaks down in tears.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as the count 2 of the indictment. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as the count 3 of the indictment. Solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson.
Dan's mother, Ruth Markel, addresses the court.
Music, dance, sports, travel, and people. But of all my son's accomplishments, however, I am most proud of the devoted father Danny was to his two sons, Benjamin and Lincoln. Dan was present, loving, and supportive, always putting his children's well-being first. He regularly attended the boys' daycares, reading with them. His office was filled with their drawings, and his home, his living room, filled with their toys. Dan was the boys' hero, and they have been forced to grow up without a father.
Then Dan's father, Phil Markel, speaks directly to Donna Adelson. He asks one devastating question.
Was it worth it?
Donna doesn't respond. The sentencing hearing is scheduled for a later date, but everyone knows Donna Adelson will spend the rest of her life in prison. Her son Charlie is already serving life. Catherine Magbanua, life. Sigfredo Garcia, life. Luis Rivera, who cooperated, is serving 19 years. And Wendi Adelson? She was never charged. But her family is destroyed. Her sons know the truth. Their grandmother had their father murdered. The Adelson family, once wealthy and respected, is now synonymous with one of the most shocking family conspiracies in American criminal history. Dan Markel was 41 years old when he died. A devoted father, a brilliant professor, a man with dreams and goals. And all of it because he wouldn't move to Miami. The Donna Adelson case shows how far a family will go when control becomes more important than human life. If you want to learn more about this and other high-profile court cases, download the Docket Watch app. Track ongoing trials, get notifications when verdicts drop, and never miss an important development. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more cases like this and comment below which trial we should cover next.